Came out the bottom, I count a whole lot of young gonna work millions of dollars. I asked out the charm, my little bitch a model. She made a few things off of followers. You wanna on tour, a BP the child. Living a criminal title. Ain't no more worries, I'm up at it early. Young niggas tryna figure out the problem. The dirty 30, I hit it like Curry. They hit me, I don't even holler. These niggas so floppy. Niggas ain't gon' stop me. Switch out my cars and my addy, my family straight, and that's all that matter. Stacking them rest and then saving, put back for whatever, whenever it happens. I put my trust in my paper, I'm walking through straight, I don't see no one else. No, it ain't low in this route. Simmons is better missteps. Stay ready, I'm already prepped. Undefeated, I feel like the champ.
My name is Kevin Organ, and you are now listening or watching my first ever podcast, KO Universe Sports Journeys, right here, right now. I'm excited to bring this to you guys. Those of you who are tapped in with me, I first want to thank everyone who is on right now, and just thank you for tuning in. This podcast is for sports journeys, obviously, but more so a deeper look into that, the journeys and stories of former athletes like myself, overcoming obstacles, overcoming adversity. And we're going to take a deep look into not just my story, but the stories of others, former collegiate athletes, former pro athletes, and we'll bring those people in. And I think we'll go even further and just cross sports as well. So it won't just be football. We'll look at athletes from other sports as well, and just tap into some of their stories of overcoming obstacles. And so that's what we'll be looking forward to in this podcast. Everybody loves a good story, and I think everybody can relate to that, even if you're not in the sports realm of things and you're just your everyday person, working hard and doing your thing. I think this is a great podcast for even someone who is not involved in sports. But if you are, I think this is great for you, the athlete, the current athlete, maybe you're a parent or a guardian of a current athlete right now. Maybe you're a coach, okay, and you're a current coach. And those are more the target audience. But again, I want to stress that this podcast is for everyone. For those who don't know me, this episode will be really more of an introduction to who I am, why I'm starting the podcast, what to look forward to in the podcast. And so I want to take some time to introduce myself. My name again is Kevin Organ. Some know me as Coach Kev. Some guys know me in training as the receiver guy. Some people know me as KO. That's been a nickname for me. And I have many names in my hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I'm from, where I was born and raised. They know me as Plex. All right, for those who don't know, Plexico Burris, wide receiver. All right, we had braids. I had braids. And so that's kind of where that nickname came from, my old coach, and we'll get into that. We'll get into that later. So again, a little bit more about me. I'm a former athlete. I played at the high school level, college, professional level, and I played wide receiver most of my life. and really for 19 years of my life. Man of God, husband, father of 3 beautiful girls, 10, 8, and 4. And love those girls, love my family. I'm also a business owner, KO Universe, wide receiver training, where I work primarily with wide receivers and help develop them. If you didn't know that, now you know. I'm also a coach, coach wide receivers at North Catholic High School in Cranberry, Pennsylvania. And I'm also a mentor to the youth. I spent a lot of years doing all these things, working with youth, working with athletes. That's been my bread and butter. And so, yeah, again, my business, I specialize in developing wide receivers. And again, that's what I've been doing most of my adult life. Anywhere from youth, high school, college, and professional levels. I have officially been in business doing that officially for about a year and a half, but have been doing the work for quite some time, many years, well over a decade of working with the top athletes, the top wide receivers in Pennsylvania. And so I got a lot of experience there, and it's my passion and what I love and enjoy doing. So moving on, what to expect from this podcast. This first season, I want to focus more on my story, and I want to do that with you guys to really help you get more of a feel for who I am, where I came from, learn more about the details of my story, where I played, what happened. For those who may not know, maybe you know me, but you don't know all the details. This is the best place to get that story in depth, and an in-depth look at where I've been, where I played, and a little bit more about me, how I grew up, and what happened from the beginning to the end. I retired in 2022, professionally playing a professional arena football. And we'll start from the time I was 6 years old and I picked up a football and until 2022. And so we'll break that down into 8 parts, 8 episodes. All right. And again, we'll just go from beginning to end. We'll break it down, and it's going to be exciting. I think it's something to look forward to if you love a good underdog story, you love a good story in general. This will be a great podcast for you to listen to. I think you'll learn a lot, and I think this will encourage a lot of people and hopefully bring some light to somebody's day, or maybe you're going through some similar things as an athlete at the moment, and you'll get to find out how I overcame a lot of these obstacles. I've been through a ton of things, and just to add, I had a ton of family and friends who really encouraged me to do this, and this kind of moves into my next thing for you guys is like, why did I start the podcast? Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. A lot of people have encouraged me to write a book. A lot of people have been impacted by my stories. I spoke at so many high schools, middle schools, and shared my story, and it has impacted kids, whether they play football or not. And so, I've always been one to keep my accomplishments and my stories and things, my testimony, to myself in a lot of ways. And I think for me, it's been a disservice to those who could benefit from my story. And so what I want to do is eventually, I believe I'll write a book or a few books, but podcasting is really really hot right now, and I think podcasting is a great way to share my story, and I believe my story should be shared with the world, and I believe that my story is valuable to the world. So we're going to unpack that, and I believe there's other people out there, other athletes out there who have very similar stories, but everybody has a different journey, and that's the beauty of starting a podcast like this, is that we get to maybe my story doesn't 100% resonate with you, but there's other people who I can bring in who maybe their story in particular you resonate with and it clicks with you, but for those who want to hear mine, this first season we'll go through mine. I got a lot of good stuff in there, a lot of hard things, a lot of dark things, but I think this is a great podcast for where we are in society right now, and I think it's beneficial to our society. A quote I want to share with you guys about this podcast kind of brings the theme and kind of shapes this podcast, is that everybody talks about the legacy, but no one talks about the journey. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. Everybody talks about the legacy, but no one talks about the journey. Right? So if you having trouble understanding that, we as a society we celebrate accomplishments, and rightfully so. It's amazing to hear stories where someone accomplished something. Oh, he made it here, he made it there, he did it, she did it, she made it here, and to reach a pinnacle. But a lot of parts that are overlooked is the process leading up to that. Some of the things that former athletes like myself have gone through, and some of these things we've gone through, man, they don't hit mainstream media. They're not really talked about, and it's in the middle, right? It's in the middle parts before that stake goes into the ground of accomplishment. It's in the middle where all the work happens. There's a quote from my old football coach. He used to be up in the weight room. I would look at it every day. He said, "Champions are made when no one's watching." Right? Think about that for a second. Champions. You think about a championship, a team winning the championship. You see them holding up the trophy, and you're like, wow, they did it. But you don't talk much about the record. What happened in practice during those days leading up to it? What happened in people's personal lives? What happens in the coaches' lives? And so this podcast will really shed some light on the middle parts, which I believe it is necessary to be informed about. So lastly, we're going to keep it short on this podcast. Like I said, this one's more introduction, just kind of let you in on what to look forward to. And so what is the outcome of this podcast? What do I want you to learn? As a listener, as a viewer, what do I want you to come away with? Well, I definitely want everyone to leave feeling empowered, to leave educated and uplifted. And even though we're going to talk about some hard things, just keep in mind that these are stories of overcoming. So I'm going to give you the ways that I overcame these things, to give you the real, right? The authentic, the real on how did you do it? How did you overcome? Because again, go back to my personality. I'm more of a private guy. I'm more of a guy who kind of keeps those things to himself. A lot of guys, oh, you're humble. You know, you don't speak much on it. I know Kev's not going to say, you know, what he accomplished, so I'll say it for him kind of guy, right? For those who don't know me. But I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it. All right, so I hope this podcast, you leave and you just feel better and you feel empowered. Like, I can do this. If Kev can do this, I can do this. If XYZ person on the podcast can do it, I can do it too. And so hopefully this, again, it uplifts you, it educates you, it empowers you. Hopefully if you are a parent of an athlete, you get a little more insight on some of the ins and outs that happen that don't get talked about. Maybe you aren't even aware of some of the things that could potentially happen with your son or your daughter in sports, and some of the things that get overlooked, right? We're going to talk about those things here. If I could break down the outcome of this podcast into a few bullet points, and if you're a football guy or girl, maybe you've heard this before: faith, family, and football. All right, faith, family, football is something that I kind of live by, and I'm sure a lot of other athletes can attest to this. Those are like the three foundations, you know, as an athlete. And you can insert that third point, whatever sport you play. All right, if it's faith, family, soccer, if it's faith, family, volleyball, if it's faith, family, track. All right, whatever sport or thing, even whatever profession you're in, I think this is good for everyone. But we're ultimately learning about ways to overcome adversity, and in today's age where mental health is very, very important, and we're really shedding light on that now. You know, and me working with youth for decades, I've learned that, man, these kids want real, and they want to know, how can I do it? How can I overcome this depression? How can I work through this problem that I'm having? And so we're going to talk about all those things. Again, I can't stress enough how excited I am about this podcast. I can't stress to you enough about how valuable this message is, and my story is, to the next generation, to parents and coaches, and to the listeners on this podcast who are taking time out of their day to learn something new, maybe a new perspective, to learn more about navigating the waters of sports and of life, right? So there's another quote, you know, it rains on the just and the unjust, right? Quote from the Bible. It rains on the just and the unjust. And so whether you can attest to being the faith side of things, for me, a follower of Christ, maybe you can attest to that. But whether you are a follower of Christ or not, guess what? Adversity will strike you and myself included, right? So I'm hoping that you can learn a little something from this podcast, and that this leads you to feeling very uplifted and feeling like I can do it. I'm a firm believer in encouraging people. It's a gift of mine, and I'm a firm believer of following your dreams, knowing that you have purpose, knowing that you have value, really tapping into what's going on the inside of you that needs to come out, right? So you're going to hear a lot about that as well. A lot of that's weaved into my story, but again, I'm excited, and I appreciate everyone listening and watching right now. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, man. And guys, look forward to these episodes. Really get your athletes in on this, to listen to this. Again, if you're a parent of an athlete right now, whether it's high school, college, professional, everyone can benefit from this. If you don't play a sport, it's okay. You're hear from me. All right, it's okay. You can benefit from this podcast, because like I said, man, adversity hits everybody's door at some point in time, especially if you are chasing a dream. And so but I do believe that everyone can accomplish the dream that's inside of them. And so again, let's tap into it. Tap in KO Universe Sports Journeys right here. KO, whatever you want to call me, Coach Cav. Hear that laid back voice, man. Chill and coast and cruise and listen to a good story, man. And so thank you again. That's all I got for this first episode. Tap in KO Universe Sports Journeys. I'm out.
Came out the bottom, I count a whole lot of young gonna work millions of dollars. I asked out the charm, my little bitch model, she made a few ends off a follow. You wanna on tour, a BP the child, living a cool title. Ain't no more worries, I'm up at it early, young niggas try to figure out the problem. For 30-30, I hear like Curry, they hear me, I don't even holler. These niggas songs flop, niggas ain't gon' stop. Switch out my cars and my addy, my family straight, and that's all that matter. Stacking them rest and then saving, put back for whatever, whenever it happens. I put my trust in my faith when I'm walking through straight, I don't see no one else. No, it ain't low in this route. Simmons and better missteps. Stay ready, I'm already prepped. Undefeated, I feel like the champ. My bitch love the hunters, we fucking get money, she turning my tongue to a chump. You did it, I done it, you know how I'm coming, you don't wanna show them what the world. Go pick up a bag and that's across the country and light up that smoke in the air. Bitch is so trim, I treat her like my twin when I shop and I pop out a pair.